Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny and today we are in our backyard. We wanted to give you a little update on a new project that we are going to be starting on. We have talked about this a little bit before, I think maybe in the winter or the fall. But anyway, what we are going to do is we are going to create two brand new flower beds basically in the middle of our yard. This space is immediately off the patio. In fact, it's directly behind Jerry right now. And so the whole idea is that we've talked about this before. We built our house in the middle of a field, and in the backyard, I really want to kind of nook it in to create sections like rooms, garden rooms. It's great that we have big, huge, wide open spaces, but it can be a little daunting when you're trying to create new gardens. So we have two new beds that we're going to make. Essentially, the trees are going to be our bones for right now. So what we did is Jerry and I came out here one day and we brainstormed. And so one of the best ways to brainstorm on how to form a new bed is to get your garden hose and actually lay it out on the ground, because it's very flexible. You can lay it out and form it however you want, and then once you get the space just right, just how you like it, then you can get some spray paint. I think it's like yard marker spray paint. And so you can see we have some nice fluorescent orange spray paint on the grass, and you can mark out these spaces. We did this last week. So the grass has grown a little bit, so the markers are kind of going away, but I think Jerry's going to try to repaint them so that y'all can see them really easily. The idea for this bed, that we have our red maple on the very end. We're not really going to plant anything beyond that. If I do something, it'll be like very low underneath it, but basically that's the end of one bed. Is basically a kidney bean shape with the century ginkgo on the other end. Right here, we still have probably, well, I don't know, that's 6 feet. Plenty of space here that we're going to plant some fun plants that I'm going to show you in a minute. You can see I have a little Gem Magnolia right here already kind of spaced out. Basically, we're going to kind of put this in the middle of the bed. Little Gem Magnolias are fantastic because they give you that classic magnolia characteristics, right? Nice, beautiful green glossy leaves. They have the nice brown underside to the leaves. They will produce the classic magnolia blooms with that beautiful lemony scent, but it's not going to be massive. Little Gems, will put all the dimensions up there on the screen for you, but I want to say they max out at like 15 feet tall and, oh gosh, I can't remember now, was it 10 feet wide, I believe? And so you can keep them in a nice, smaller, confined space without something that's going to take up your entire backyard. Because every Southerner, I feel like as a Southern gardener, I should have a magnolia in my garden. And I love magnolias, so Little Gem is a great option for us. So it's going to go here in the middle of the bed. And then I've got a Kubota full of plants that we're going to show you in a minute. Brenna is loving this spring weather out here. Don't you, darling? Yes. Between the flower beds, we have a nice pathway. So right here, Brenna and I are standing in the middle of the pathway, and then the beds will swing out. This will remain grass. So anything that's not in the flower beds is grass. So we have grass so the kids can run through. It'll be a beautiful pathway because behind us is, I think you can probably see it. That is where the part of the dry storage section is going to be, and we're going to do that bridge. Remember, we're talking about how we're going to get, we said this spring, I don't think it's going to happen this spring, where we're going to get our chickens again, and so it'll be over there. But we have massive plans for that beautiful bridge going across the creek, so this pathway will lead you and point you in that direction. We'll talk about that space more in a little bit. Big dreams, big dreams. So now I'm officially in the next flower bed, a little bit smaller than the one on the left. Here we have a really fun, funky, this is a Slender Hanoki Cypress. Again, it's going to be nice and slender and skinny and tall, which will mimic the ginkgo tree that's on the other end of the other bed. Nice evergreen, so even in the wintertime, we will have year-round structure with this tree. It is just a fun, funky tree, and as soon as it came to the nursery, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this tree. So I wanted to incorporate one into the garden, so this is the perfect place to have it. And then of course, over here we have the Okami cherry tree. She is doing great. She just is going through her second spring with us. She was absolutely gorgeous just a few weeks ago. If you remember when I was back here planting the roses, she was in full bloom. The honeybees were all over her. When we had that 19-degree night, it did take off all of the flower blooms, but the green foliage was not damaged. So it's already flushing out in its green foliage. So we have this gorgeous tree. This is going to be a really fun area that I can do shrubs and trees and perennials and annuals, because you know I tend to go towards those hot colors. That's my default gardening style, is the classic cottage, fun, big bold colors, and I have restrained myself in the patio to be more refined, more cool colors that will show up at night. Now out here, this is where Jenny's gonna have lots of fun. So let's come over here, and I want to show you some of the shrubs that I know are definitely going to go in here. I have been collecting these in my Jenny's personal shrub lot area over there, and so I want to share them with you. So first of all, we have, I grabbed 3 of the Ito peonies. If you remember from our nursery tours, we've talked about these Ito peonies. They are just a neat plant. They're a cross between an herbaceous peony and a tree peony. So this particular one is Scarlet Heaven. And so you don't have to stake them, and they have really unique blooms on them. So I have Scarlet Heaven, and I'll unload them while I'm doing this. Then we have Bartzella, and Bartzella is really fun because it's yellow. But look at that beautiful foliage. They were out in that 19-degree night, and we did cover it, so some of the stems did get broken, but for the most part, they're doing great. So we have Bartzella also, and then we've got one more Ito peony. This is, I'll put the name up on the screen because, oh, never mind, I found it. The tag fell down. Oh, Julia Rose, cherry red that opens to orange and apricots, and it fades to yellow. Gorgeous. So I have these because I grabbed the Ito peonies because I knew this past fall, come right here, dear, I ordered from Van Engelen, you know, that's where I get all my bulbs. They had where you could purchase peony bare root stock. And so I got their, I believe I'll put the official name on there, but it was something like the quintessential fragrant peony mix. And so in each, I got 2 of them. It's the exact same ones, I just got 2. But there were 6 peonies in each one. So we potted them up this fall. They spent all winter outside in the little shrub lot area. They just got watered when it rained, and look at them. Look at how beautiful and nice and big they are. There's all sorts of different kinds of them. Like I said, there's 6 different varieties in total. They're gonna smell amazing. Of course, that classic peony bloom on them in all the different colors. So when I ordered these, I knew that we were going to be creating these flower beds. So I want my peonies to go in these flower beds. I'm thinking, this could all change, but I'm thinking I will have a set in each of the 2 flower beds. So that way we can just see how everybody does. So we're going to have a whole collection of peonies because, I mean, my goodness, peonies. Talking about that quintessential like garden flower. And along with that quintessential garden flower is a hydrangea. But this is not your ordinary hydrangea. This is the Fairy Trail Bride from Proven Winners. This is one of, if not, I don't think I'm misspeaking, that's the first cascading hydrangea. we've talked about this a lot in the fall, but the Fairy Trail Bride is wonderful for the southern climates. They are hardy in zones 7 to 9, but they'll basically get to be a 4 by 4, and they trail. So you can put them in a large pot, or you can put them in the ground. Because we are zone 7B and they're hardy in zones 7 to 9, I worry about if I had a really cold winter, if it was in a pot, that maybe it would get too cold. So I'm going to put them in the ground. I have a total of 4, but if I need another one to make 5, or if I need 6, I know we're somewhere where I can go grab some. So I grabbed these last fall. They have, again, sat out all winter, and they are already flushing out new growth. When we had that 19-degree night, I did cover them, and they're doing well. Now, 2 unique specimens that are going to go in here that I'm super excited about. One, let's see if we can move these hydrangeas down. This fun, funky tree is a, let me get it so I can get this right. It is the Harry Lauder walking stick. So technically it is a tree. Obviously it is deciduous, but you can tell that it is this contorted, twisted, knobby little funky tree. It is full sun to part shade. It is going to be hardy up to zone 4. Mature size will be 8 feet tall, 10 feet wide, but it's a pretty slow grower. But it is just a really neat specimen. I just think it's fun and funky. So it is going to go in one of these 2 beds. I don't know the exact placement yet on that. Most likely it will go in where the magnolia and the cherry tree are, because in the other bed, I want to put, this is a maidenhair tree. So this too is a type of a ginkgo, but it's more of a shrub than it is a tree. So it will have that classic ginkgo leaves to it, but you can tell it's more of a small shrubby type plant. It will be only 2 to 3 feet tall, but 4 to 6 feet wide. So it'll have a very kind of weeping look to it. Again, sat out all winter and is doing great. So I'm excited to add that to the bed as well. Again, we'll see where everything goes. I have not, that's about to blow my mind as it is already, but I know in here I want to add like some forsythias, like the show-offs, all sorts of fun things. I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna run out of space before I run out of plants, but that's a good problem to have, right, when you are gardening. So of course we will keep you up to date on this whole thing. The plan is to go ahead and start, the next step will be, obviously we have to get rid of the grass. And there's 2 ways that you can basically get rid of your grass when you're creating beds. One, you can come in and spray something on the grass to kill it, whether it's an organic solution or not an organic solution, to spray something on the grass and kill it. If you have time to do it, that makes sense. Obviously, we are ready to go ahead and start planting because we have the plants, the time of year. This is a good time to begin planting here. So what Jerry's going to do is actually physically remove the grass. So if you have a machine, you can come in here and just take off the very top layer, kind of like how they, cut sod. You're just going to go in and just right off the top and take the grass off. So you can do it that way. If you have a smaller space, you can use a shovel and you can just, basically you're cutting it out and you're digging out the grass. So that is what we're going to use. He's going to use probably one of the bobcats, the smaller or the bigger, I don't know, and he will come in here and remove the grass. Again, just the top layer. We're not going to go down, dig deep, and then I'm sure we will amend this in some way. Again, we'll take you for the whole ride on that. So that way we can go ahead and start getting the bones and the plants that we have in here, and I can add to it as the season progresses, as the plants become available. So that's super exciting for this space. While we are down here, I do want to show you, because this area right here is along the creek bank. It's really hard to tell, but through the woods, the creek is right there. The creek cuts our entire property basically in half. So it is typically a very sleepy little creek, but it is down deep. So if you were to look across, you would probably never know that there's a creek there, but there is. When we moved in here, before we even moved into the house 18 years ago, Jerry and I came through and kind of cleaned up the tree line along the creek, got out the honeysuckle and the grapevine, all those kind of invasive pesky plants. We really haven't maintained that, obviously, but this is going to make a beautiful shade garden, woodland garden, because of all the wonderful canopy of hardwood trees that are nearby. That is part of the project list, is that we want to come in here and clean this up, and this will be years in the making of cleaning it up, because we do have big, huge azaleas in here. If you remember my mama's spring garden tour we did last year, her azaleas, these are the same azaleas that she has. She had given us babies when we moved in, but unfortunately, because we have not maintained it, especially this area down here, the honeysuckle has really taken over. So we've got a lot of cleaning out to do so that this area will be an absolutely gorgeous, classic southern woodland garden. Because remember, sun comes up over here and sets right there. So this area will get morning sun and then afternoon shade. So we've got a lot of fun things going on in here. There are some fabulous plants that are in here that just need a little bit of TLC and to get all the weeds and the debris and the pesky plants out of there so that we can see it. But again, we will take you along for this whole journey so that you can see us developing these 2 new beds. So if you want to add some new garden spaces to your yard, we will show you exactly how you can do that and the steps that need to be taken. But remember, yeah, here it is, very, very early spring. It is go time. If you want to add plants to your yard and you're in a kind of a southern climate, then this is the perfect time to do it. I know that we have a lot of viewers who watch us that are in much colder climates. So your calendar dates may look different, but the timing is basically the same. So the timing is when winter is pretty much done and you're going into spring. For us, that is mid-March, early April. Maybe for you, it is mid-April, early May. So you can't really go by our timeline, you have to go by your climate. And you will know when winter is ending and you're heading into spring. That is the perfect time to go ahead and start adding plants and tending your garden, because coming out of winter, going into spring, it is a glorious time for a gardener. As always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. We will see you next video. Goodbye, my friends.